Hello, my name is Dr. Dave Martin, and I'm the pastor at Wisdom City Church. And I'm glad that you've joined us here on our YouTube channel. We're excited about the videos, the messages, and all the information that's going to be coming your way so that you can live your best life now. This is where your best life begins, by following the wisdom of God and the principles of God. Make sure you hit the subscribe button so you can be notified whenever a new message, a new video comes out. Make sure you like the videos and well, when you hear something that speaks to your heart, why don't you jump in the comments section, leave a message there. Maybe it'll speak to someone else as well. You share your thoughts, I'll share mine, and together maybe we can help a whole lot of people. I hope today's message encourages you, inspires you, and gives you hope for the future, an incredible future that God has for you. Welcome home to Wisdom City.
The last week of our series, It's Complicated. And we said, why do you call it It's Complicated? Because dealing with people, dealing with relationships, it's one of the most important parts of our life is our relationships. But specifically, we've been talking about how to deal with relationship issues. If you've ever had a relationship issue, whether it's in a romantic relationship, your spouse, or whether it's a friendship, or whether it's a coworker, when we've sat across the couch from people that are talking about their problems or dysfunctional things in their relationship, that I'm stuck, or I don't know how this is going to work out, or how am I going to move forward. It kind of comes down into about 4 different categories, and that's what we've been talking about over the last 3 weeks, and then of course this will be the 4th week. But if you missed any of those, you want to go back and watch them. They're all on YouTube available. We talked the first week about dealing with unresolved conflict. How do you deal with unresolved conflict in a relationship? Then the second week we talked about forgiveness, how to forgive well, and that was a really powerful one on forgiveness. Then last week we talked about the power of your words, of what you say and how powerful your words are. And so we're going to wrap it up this week with I want to show you that to improve any relationship you have, you're going to have to turn off the autopilot. You're gonna have to turn off the autopilot. I love cruises. Anybody else like cruising? Anybody else like cruises? Okay, got a few people. I love going on a cruise, and I always think I would have been a great cruise director. Like, I think that would be a cool job to have. Like when I go on there, and I'm like, I used to watch The Love Boat growing up. Anybody else remember that show, The Love Boat? The Love Boat, soon we'll be making the run. There you go. Come on. Someone remembers that show. But I'm like, I mean, what a great job. You just get to make, the passengers smile and make sure everyone has suntan lotion or something. And how good is that? What a great job. But they never presented that option to us on career day at school to be a cruise director. But on one day on the cruise, I was talking to the captain, and I thought it was so cool. I mean, this big, huge ship. We went on a cruise through the Panama Canal, and so how they navigate through this Panama Canal, and I'm talking to him about that. And then how do you get from one place to another? Another time we took a transatlantic cruise from Florida to Barcelona. So we're in the middle of the ocean, and I'm like, how do you don't see land. It's not like being on the lake and you can like, oh, we just got to get to right there. Like, you don't see anything. He goes, well, it's not really as hard as you would think. We have a lot of advanced navigational tools and things now. So all I got to do is get it out of the harbor. I push in some coordinates and boom, we get there. I'm like, man, autopilot. How good is that? And wouldn't it be nice if there was something like autopilot for relationships? Like if you like as a parent, you just punch in the coordinates that you need, and then your kids grow up and have manners. Wouldn't that be awesome? I mean, if there was just something like autopilot for, like as a boss, you could just punch in some coordinates, some directions, and the employees do everything they're supposed to do, and no drama at the end of the week. Wouldn't that be or as a spouse? I mean, you punch in the coordinates and boom, you're back in the honeymoon phase and everything's just wonderful. Wouldn't that be great if they just had something? And it's fun to think about that, isn't it? But we all know that autopilot for relationships is just a fantasy. I think we know that. Or do we? Because some of you, one of the most common reasons that your relationships are the way they are or have gone awry is because we've stopped contributing and we assume that things will just stay on course because I told you I loved you when I married you. I mean, if I change my mind, I'll let you know. And we think it's just we're going to end up where we need to be. And the irony is that we know this isn't reality because it doesn't work anywhere else in our life. We understand if you don't show up to work, you don't get a paycheck, right? We understand if you don't show up to practice, you're not going to get any playing time in the game. But for some reason, we think if we don't show up in relationships, they're just going to continue. They'll be fine. They'll just continue going. And why is that? Why do we believe that? Or why do we think that? And I think there's some common misbeliefs when it comes to relationships. One is this: I've done enough in the past. Why hasn't it just worked forever? Right? I mean, imagine taking your car to the mechanic, okay? Anybody here work on cars? Anybody here? Anybody? I got a couple people. Okay, we got some people that work on cars. I don't know anything about cars. Anybody like me? You don't know anything about it, right? Okay, so there's a lot of you like me. I don't know anything. One day, Christine, I'm inside watching TV, and she opens the garage. She goes, "Honey, my car won't start." I said, "Huh?" She's like, "Well, can you look at it?" I'm like, "Sure. We can both look at it if you want." And so we're both there looking at it. I don't know anything about cars, and so we're both looking at it. And I mean, I know enough. Like, I've watched movies and TV and stuff. I'm like, "All right, pop the hood." Try it again. I have no idea. I don't know anything about cars, you know. And I move a couple things. I'm like, yeah, okay. So we called AAA. Right, because they came and they towed the car, and they got it to the mechanic, and the mechanic looked at me, he goes, "Did you check the alternator?" Like I'm an idiot. Of course I checked the alternator. Oh God, it was full. Right. I don't know about cars, but could you imagine you take your car to the mechanic because it's producing this awful noise and black smoke, and the mechanic's like, the engine's bad. It's in bad shape due to the fact that there's no oil, a lack of oil. And I'm like, "What do you mean? That doesn't make any sense. I put oil in it like 10 years ago." What do you mean? And we all know that's silly and that's foolish, but we often display that same kind of mindset when it comes to our relationships. Couples stop dating. We went on a date like 4 years ago, right? Friends stopped making time. Well, we used to hang out, but it just... Parents stop having meaningful conversations with their children, and we wonder why the relationships have dulled, because we expect memories to maintain the relationship. Memories will not maintain the relationship, and if you think they will, I can tell you, you're going to have trouble ahead. So number one, first misbelief is that you did it in the past. It'll just keep working. Here's another one. It's the other person's job to keep this thing going. I mean, by definitions, relationships, just by definition, requires two people, meaning that you cannot solely by yourself maintain the health of your relationship, and neither can the other person. It takes two. Right? It takes two, both parties. But often we get hurt, or we feel that we put ourselves out there more than the other person, and so we pull back and we give them all the responsibility. And when that happens, you will guarantee your misery. You'll guarantee it, because you're saying, "I can't be happy unless you allow me to be. I can't be at peace unless you permit it." And listen, you don't need anybody else's permission to be at peace. You don't need anybody else's permission. It's a gift that comes from God. Peace comes from God, not from another person. And you're entitled to it despite how the other person acts or what the other person does. And one of the most powerful moments of your life is when you declare that my relationships will not be based on what you do. Then you decide to be at peace. You decide there's going to be harmony in your home. You decide to enjoy going to work or whatever it may be. The third misbelief is this: other things are more important. Other things are more. I mean, this misbelief is especially deceptive, because no one would ever say that their job is more important than their relationship. I mean, no one would ever say that that hobby that they love to do is more important. No one would ever say Netflix is more important than you. I mean, we wouldn't say that, but we display those things all the time in our relationships. From time to time, we all fall into this, and it's because we think that things that we are pursuing have the capacity to make us happy. If I just get that bonus, if I just could just ride my Harley a little bit more, I'd be happy. And it isn't true, because the quality of your relationships control the quality of your life. I mean, think about it. You get the bonus, right? You've been chasing it, you've been working extra hours, but your marriage is still miserable. You're going to be miserable, even though you got the bonus, because the quality of your marriage is more dominant than the quality of your bonus. If you gain great notoriety and you become famous on TikTok or online or in your organization or whatever, but your kids don't follow your instructions, well, you're going to be miserable. Because who cares if you're influential online if you are not even influential in your own home? Reality is, if relationships are wrong, nothing else is going to be right. And so that's why we're taking these 4 weeks and we've been planting these seeds into our relationships. That's why we had the LoveWise conference. Why? Because we want to be fruitful in our relationships, so we're planting seeds. And the most dominant factor, your relationship is the most dominant factor when it comes to the quality of life. And this explains why many of us are frustrated. We're lacking joy. We're unsatisfied, because a relationship that has great impact on you or on your life maybe has become stagnant. And this is something, well, the Bible warns us. Look at Hebrews chapter 10. Well, they'll put it up on the screen. This remind me that Christine told me that, she goes, hey, can you make us coffee? And I'm like, make us coffee? Why don't you make the coffee? You should make the coffee. She said, well, the Bible says you're supposed to make the coffee. I'm like, where does that say that in the Bible? She said, right there. It says he brews. He brews, not she brews. So Hebrews chapter 10, look at this. And let us consider how to stir up one another to love and good works, not neglecting to meet together, as is the habit of some, but encouraging one another, all the more as you see the day drawing near. Now, this is a hallmark verse for pastors. We love to use this verse to get you guys to come to church. Right? Don't neglect meeting together. That's the habit of some. Some of y'all just staying home, watch online, didn't come up here. It's a habit we need to be. And it's true, but we use it for church attendance. But in context, it's more than just going to a building, just showing up here at church. This is about the way Christians, Christ followers, you and I are supposed to value community and value one another, not just worship services. In the original language here, in this, it was written in Greek, the word neglecting means to leave behind. The neglect means to leave behind or left to survive. So if you neglect someone, you're just leaving them behind, The writer's chief concern here is that believers would get into the habit of allowing relationships to just simply survive. They neglect them. They just, and thus they lose their vibrancy. I want my relationships to be vibrant. I grew up in Mississippi, and we kind of lived out in the woods in a rural, in rural areas growing up, and so Solomon, he didn't grow up that way. Well, when we moved in our house here in Rochester, we got some like wooded area, big wooded area behind us. So one day I'm like, let's go hiking in the woods, in Rochester. I felt like coming back. So we got some boots on. I'm like, let's go. And we just start going out into the woods, and we get out there a little bit, and we find this pond in the middle of the woods. Now, I grew up around ponds. I love ponds. There's a lot of benefits of ponds. You can skip rocks on ponds, right? You can swim in ponds. There's a lot of good benefits. And when you see a pond, take advantage of it. Maybe do some fishing. That reminds me of this guy in Mississippi had a pond in the backyard, and he thought, you know what? this would be a great swimming hole for people. I should fix this up and let the community know they could come swimming in the pond. And so he fixed it up, cleaned it up a little bit, and he put some benches out there and some fruit trees. And he's like, anybody that wants to go swimming in our pond, feel free. Told everybody in town. Well, it'd been a few months he hadn't been out there to the pond. And y'all are getting this joke. First service didn't get this. I think the Lord just gave me this joke for this service, but maybe not after I'm done. But anyway, so said, hey, if you want to go out swimming in the pond, feel free. And so a few months had gone by, and he was like, I wonder if anybody's gone out there. So he grabbed a 5-gallon bucket, and he headed out to the pond. He thought he'd pick some fruit while he was out there checking on everything. As he got closer, he heard some people, and he got a little closer, and there was a group of girls out there swimming in the pond. And one of them saw the old man come, and they said, hey, old man, you better stop right there. Don't think for a minute you're going to come down here and see us swimming here. And he goes, girls. He said, I didn't come down here to see you guys swimming in your bathing suits. He held up his bucket. He said, I just came down here to feed my alligator. Always take advantage of a good opportunity. I don't know what the point of that was, but ponds, that's what I was talking about, ponds. So something I didn't realize, we found this pond, something I didn't realize till recently is that, because this pond in the middle of this forest back there had a fountain in it. I'm like, there's no houses, nothing around here, so someone must care about this pond, because to keep it a pond healthy, they have to be stirred, they have to be moving. So either they're fed from a live spring underneath, or you put a fountain, or you put some kind of pump system into it. Because without stirring, without the movement, bacteria builds up. The fish, if there's fish in there, the fish will die. Disease will contaminate it. So what was once enjoyable now becomes miserable. What was once refreshing now becomes repulsive. And it's the same thing with our relationships if we don't stir them up. If we don't keep them moving, if we don't keep vibrancy, what happens in some relationships is some of you think something that you once enjoyed, that was refreshing, that was enjoyable, that was life-giving, has become stagnant, and now it's something that you want to avoid. And the enemy has tried to convince you just to abandon it. Just forget that relationship. Tried to get you to just find a new job. Just go get a new church. Just find a new spouse. I mean, but in reality, he just wants you to give up and enter into a cycle where you will spend the rest of your life searching and never satisfied, because what's missing and the fact that you have stagnancy in the relationship is due to a lack of activity. And it's time to just stir it up. Say, stir it up. Yeah. And according to Hebrews, when your relationships are stagnant, you don't give up, you stir up. Stir them up with some fresh effort and some intentionality. One of God's greatest gifts are the people that he places in our life. Right? I've mentor my used to say, when God wants to bless you, he puts people in your life. When the enemy wants to destroy you, he puts people in your life, right? You have to figure out who's who. You have to figure out, we see that all throughout the Bible, but God blesses you by putting people in your life. There are people around you are gifts, but it's up to you to steward those gifts. So we're talking about being fruitful. Now's the time to pick up some friendships that you set down in a busy season. Now's the time to build up your coworkers and combat toxic cultures. Now's a good time to wake up to the fact that you only got so many years to treasure your spouse. Enjoy. I've been trying to see my parents whenever I can. They're up in their 80s, and I don't know how many times how many more years they'll live, but I mean, if I saw them 4 times a year and they live 10 more years, I'm only going to see them 40 more times, right? And I started thinking of, I got to invest a little bit more. Now the time to step up and make memories is now. Why wait? I mean, the time to have some meaningful conversations. How about now? To share those experiences. Stagnancy is found with is fought off with increased activity. So some movement. So it just got to stir some things up. So how do you do that? I can't tell what activity you need to do. I can't tell you, well, you need 2 date nights a month and 4 Hail Marys and you'll be fine. I can't tell you that. That's not what we do. But But I can give you three questions. Three questions that you can ask yourself to assess any relationship, whether it's a spouse or whether it's a work or friendship or whatever. And these three questions will help you understand whether the relationship is stirred up or if it's stagnant, okay? So you may want to write these down. Number one, have I made this relationship a priority? Have I made this relationship a priority? A businessman worked long hours, got home one night, and his 7-year-old son was sitting there waiting. When he walked in, he said, "Hey, Dad, can I ask you a question?" His dad said, "Sure." He said, "How much money do you make an hour?" The dad said, "Well, that's none of your business. I mean, you're just a kid. It's time for bed. Let's get ready for bed. You don't need to know." And his dad, the little boy said, "Please, Dad, tell me, how much do you make an hour?" And the dad said, "Look, I mean, if you promise you won't tell anybody." And the little boy said, "I won't tell anybody." He goes, "Okay." He said, "I make about $150 an hour." And the little boy was kind of taken back. He said, "Wow." He said, "I didn't realize. Wait, could I borrow $20? The dad said, "Well, you need to borrow $20. You need to go to bed. I mean, you don't need any more toys. Your mom just made dinner. You don't need $20. What do you need $20 for?" The little boy picked up his little piggy bank. He said, "Dad," he said, "I've saved up from my birthday. I saved up $130. If I just have 20 more, I'll have enough to buy an hour of your time." Sometimes our kids just want an hour of our time. And we all tend to underestimate how much our attention means to the people that we love. My guess is that you don't have a clue how much you mean, maybe to your spouse or to your friend or to your coworker or to your kids. When you give them time, when you communicate how valuable they are, it makes all the difference in the world. And maybe you struggle like the dad did in that story. Is maybe your struggle is you feel like you have so little time. I just don't have time. It's funny because we have so much technology now to save us time. But yet we don't have time. I mean, we got air fryers, they save us cooking time, and we got streaming services that save us time. Now we don't have to watch all those stinking commercials unless you're cheap and don't pay the extra, and then you still got to watch them. But which is me, because Christine and Solomon get so mad at me. I'm not paying $2 extra just to you watch that commercial. I watched them when I was growing up. So. We got automated billing and payments, to save us time from writing checks and writing bills and all that. So we're saving more time than we've ever saved before, yet we have less time than we've ever had before. So I would say time is probably not the problem as much as priority is the problem. We all have the same 24 hours in a day. Anybody have more than 24 hours in a day? Anybody got less than 24 hours in a day? 24 hours, we're all equal. God gave us all 24 hours. How you invest the 24 hours determines what you get at the end of the day. 24 boxcars on your train to success every day. What you put in each, I read the other day, the average American watches about 6 hours of television a day. Six, that means 6 of your boxcars are filled, like with either binge watching 6 episodes of Yellowstone or whatever it is you watched, or CSI New York, CSI Miami, CSI Las Vegas, CSI. There's a lot of CSIs, but think if you just took one CSI, 1 hour, and invested it in a relationship. Just take out one, not Miami. Miami is awesome, that one, but maybe take out New York. But if you just invested an hour, think where you'd get 24 hours. Our relationships live and die on how we prioritize that 24 hours. And if you'll examine any tension that exists in your relationship, I bet you'll find that it is a misplaced priority. And often when someone expresses their frustration about how we have prioritized them, we call them controlling. God, you're so controlling. You're so needy. You're so overbearing. But in most cases, they're just expressing a God-given quality called legitimate jealousy. You say, well, isn't it a sin to be jealous? And then there are some forms of jealousy that are destructive, like when you try to get something from someone that's not rightfully yours, you're jealous of it or whatever. But the best example of this is within a family, because this is something that there's something that God put within us that makes us intuitively know our family belongs to us before anything else. Right? So when energy or time or resources that rightfully belong to us are given by our spouse or our parents or our kids to someone else in any consistent way, then we begin to feel like we're violated or we become intolerant of that thing. A buddy of mine, Scott Anderson, he may see his things pop up on TikTok, or he does all these TikToks for parents and for relationships, and we were talking. I was just spoke for him at a conference in Phoenix where they live, but he was talking about just sharing some wisdom about the most powerful practices that he has, and I adopted it from him. That he regularly asks the people close to him, "What do you need from me that you're not getting? What do you need from me that you're not getting?" Whether it's your spouse or I just met with Mark last week, and we were talking about some of the things with the Dream Team. And then I said, "What do you need from me that you're not getting? How can I, in any relationship?" And so when I look at that, it gives them space. Ask them, now give them space to communicate what they need that they're not getting. And I thought that question demonstrates that although it's important for us to speak lovingly and act lovingly, the ultimate measure of love is what you give up to meet someone else's needs. What am I willing to give up to meet someone else's needs, or that they can meet my needs? More than anything else, I think sacrifice really communicates priority. Sacrifice communicates priority. And you know what a lot of y'all need to sacrifice? Technology. And I love technology. It's a great servant, but it's a terrible master. And some of you just can't help it. It's just a habit. You just pick it up. And if you can't put your phone down for a while, if you can't turn off a video game or your tablet or your computer, and then you're probably in bondage. I mean, if you leave the house and you realize you left your phone and you start stressing out and you break out and you got to turn around and, come on, anybody? Come on, admit it, bunch of liars. I'm going to pray for you guys too. No, not me, I could go all day. We made a rule at our house at 9:30, all the phones would have to go off. When Simon was home in school, 9:30, all the phones go off. And he's like, "Well, what about yours, Dad?" I'm like, there's people that need me, son, and I have to provide all this. So I put mine down too. I made that decision, and boy, it was hard. I'm like, "Guys, look over there." We had and we were just talking about this because for a long time our bedroom was a cell phone free zone. No cell phones allowed in the bedroom, and you can't even charge it in the bedroom. Charge it. You can get an alarm clock. Oh, I needed to get up. No, get an alarm clock. You'll be fine. Put it in the other room to charge it at night. So no cell phones. We don't have computers. You didn't pay your bills in the bedroom. You don't check your Facebook, and that's not what the bedroom's for. Married people. But you put your phone away, get some candles and some leopard stuff. It's a Barry White CD. I don't know what you need, but anyway, be technology free. That's all I'm saying. And to be fully present, you got to be technology free. And so we have some friends. Every time we go to their house, they got this big vault, what do you call that thing? A safe in the middle of the table. And so when you get there, everyone puts their phones in the vault, and you set a timer and you close it, and it locks. So you set it for 90 minutes and close it, and you can't get in it for 90 minutes. So their phone's locked away. I have another friend, when we go out to dinner, everyone puts their phone in the middle of the table, and whoever touches their phone first has to pay for everybody's dinner, right? That'll keep you right there. That'll keep you, depending on where you go. Taco Bell, maybe you give it up. Ruth's Chris, I don't need to talk to nobody. Y'all can pay for this. Someone else is. So the need for priority is so important. It governs every relationship, even with God. I mean, look at what the Lord said to Moses about his people. Exodus 34. You must worship no other gods, for the Lord, whose very name is jealous, is a God who is jealous about his relationship with you. God loves you, and he created you to love him. And so when we turn from him to follow other things, money, pleasure, fame, whatever it may be, he is provoked to legitimate jealousy. And I know it's crazy, but God is jealous to be your priority. God is jealous, and he longs for your attention and for your affection. When you see someone worshiping, what are they doing? They're pouring their love on God. That's why we worship. It's not to give you time to finish getting ready and get to church. It's not to give you time to get the kids all the way. No, well, they'll be singing for 20 minutes. No, that's time for you. That's a priority to God.
Yes.
That's a priority to God, that you're here, that you're showing love and affection to him. He's asking, how important am I? Is our relationship a priority? Number two, second question you got to ask. What am I doing to pursue the other person? What am I doing? One pitfall in relationships is we gauge by feeling instead of by action. Everyone feels love. I feel like love toward my kids. I feel love toward my friends or my spouse. But what you feel in your heart is inadequate, because in fact, affection must become an action. You got to show it. Do the people around you recognize your affection for them? And I'm asking if there is there a measurable action? If not, then there's a good chance that you need to consider how you could increase your pursuit, how they know they're being pursued. Relationships are hard to understand because they're not quantifiable. But I look at it like a bank account. Everybody here probably has a bank account. And I set up in my mind relational bank accounts for everybody, right? And you recognize the goal of any bank account. If you have a bank account, the goal of the bank account is to maintain a positive balance. Right? Would everybody admit that? Has anybody ever had a negative balance in your account? Yeah, I think most of us probably at some point. But meaning you gotta. The goal is to make more deposits than you make withdrawals.
That's right.
Right? So deposits in relationships look like encouragement, listening, laughter, fun, being helpful, loading the dishwasher, whatever it may be. Withdrawals look like criticism, confrontation, selfishness, unmet expectations. Now, when it comes to people in my life, I see an account balance. When I'm talking to them, I see an account balance over their head, and I'm mindful that I must use words or actions to make deposits. I want to put deposits in them. So, like when I travel, when I'm gone, I realize I'm making a withdrawal on Christine. So when I return, I offer, hey, especially when Solomon was little, hey, I'll take Solomon and we'll hang out. You go and enjoy. Go to the spa. Go do whatever you want to do. Go shopping. No, don't go shopping. Then I'll have negative bank account, real bank account. But make positive deposits. When I would correct Solomon, right? Well, I'm mindful that that's a withdrawal. Correction is a withdrawal. So I'm intentionally want to counter that by making deposits of quality time. A friend of mine years ago, when Solomon, I mean, he was little. He had to be 7, 8 years old. I remember John Bevere, a friend of mine, tell me, he said, listen, you come back from traveling, because he raised, 4 boys, I think. And he said, I'd come back home, and I would be tired. I'd just been traveling, but I got to make sure that I'm making deposits, because those kids have been without me. So I remember coming home one time. I'd just flown in from Australia. I'd been gone, 20-something hours of traveling. My night and day was switched upside down. I pull in the driveway. I'm like, oh, home. I just can't wait to just go sit down. And Solomon's in the driveway with a football. Dad, let's throw football. You know where I want to throw that football? I'm like, Dad, let's do it, buddy. Let's do it. I remember what John told me. I set my bags down. I'm like, let's throw some football. Go. And we throw football for a little bit. It wasn't hours, 10 minutes of just quality time, throwing some football, just reconnecting. Okay, making a deposit. So when you have to have a tough conversation with an employee, be mindful. Tough conversations are withdrawal. So do your best to praise or do something ahead of time to make a deposit. And this is the problem many of you are facing, and you're wondering why your relationships are the way they are. You're overdrafting your account. You just keep overdrafting. You keep making withdrawals, and you're not making enough deposits. So if you make withdrawals at a disproportionate rate and not enough deposits, you're going to have hard relationships. So make some deposits. Today, go make a deposit. All right, stop at Kroger's, buy some flowers or something. Just, text somebody. Tell them, man, I was thinking about you. They just wanted to encourage you. I just want you to know I appreciate your friendship. Go for a walk. Take somebody to lunch after church. Take them somewhere nice. And I don't have any plans after. But seriously, man, growing up, we eat Cracker Barrel. I love Cracker Barrel. Let's go. Can I get something at the gift shop? No. But growing up, we always went out to eat after church. Everybody's always hanging out, going out to eat. You need to make some friends. Go eat. I mean, here's what the Bible says. And Christians, that's what we can do. It's not a sin, eating. It's about the only thing we can do. It's not a sin, just eat. That's why we eat too much sometimes. But anyway, someone's called me right now, wanting to make reservations for. Okay, here, look at the scripture. And this, as an incentive, God made this promise to us, and we use it a lot in giving an offering or that, but it's in anything. Give some flowers, give some attention, give some compliment, whatever it may be. Give, Luke 6:38, and you will receive. Your gift will return to you in full. Pressed down, shaken together, running over. The amount you give. God says the measure you deposit in others is the measure that I will deposit in you. Except he does it with excess. He does it with even more. Number 3, let me give you this last one, then I gotta pray, get you out of here. Have I given up when I should persevere? Have I given up? Relationships are work. If you've ever been in a relationship, it's work. And the only time success comes before work is in the dictionary. Okay? So it's for that reason that a lot of relationships end up on autopilot. We simply get tired and we just start to settle. And honestly, my fear for most of you, and my fear is not that you're going to get divorced. My fear is that you become stagnant and you just settle for being roommates. My fear is not that you get fired from your job. My fear is that you get stagnant and you just settle for making a check, just getting paid. At least I'm getting a paycheck. I don't like it. Had a guy told me, he goes, I hate my job. I said, really? I said, how long have you worked there? He said, 26 years. I said, my goodness, why would you work 26 years somewhere if you hate it? He said, well, I didn't hate it the whole time. I said, oh, well, that makes sense. I said, how long did you hate it? He said, 25 of those years. Yeah. My fear is not that you wouldn't have people that you call friends, is that you would have these stagnant relationships that never go deeper than just the surface level. So that's why my goal is always to point you to the fact that in every relationship, we have God. And we have the Holy Spirit if we will put him active in our relationships. I remember years ago, probably in premarital counseling, I remember seeing this triangle. It showed a triangle, and it put me at one side and Christine at the other side of the triangle, and then God at the top of the triangle. He said, if both of you will put God first, it will draw you closer to each other. And I thought, well, that works in any relationship. You can put me over here and Dave over here, and as long as we put God first, we can work through our situations and whatever it may be in any relationship. And it's hard to be good at a relationship when you're trying to be the source. The key is to get a better source for your relationship. And you may not realize it, but there's two things that God is willing to do for you in your relationships. Two things that God is willing to provide. He'll show up every day. If you will invite him into your relationship, he will provide these two things. Romans chapter 15, verse number 5. Look at this. May God, who gives this patience and encouragement, say patience. Yeah, first the Spirit will give you patience. How many have ever had a relationship that required patience? Yeah, and how many know relationships always require two people? So how many know that other person probably needs some patience too? Every relationship, patience to keep investing the right words. Patience to keep responses, actions, all those things. And then encouragement, say encouragement. Which is best idealized, I think, in the word hope. So he gives us patience and encouragement, help you live in complete harmony with other people, with each other. So there's hope, and we all know that we're called. We say it around here all the time. We are hope dealers, right? That's our job. We're dealing hope. You need some hope? Find someone from Wisdom City. They're hope dealers, right? We'll hook you up. We'll give you some hope, some opioids. Sometimes the thing that we need most to keep working on a relationship is just some hope. Hope to fight off the discouragement. Hope to not quit. Hope to not give up and say, this is just too much. I'll close with this story of Michelangelo, who painted the Sistine Chapel. If you've never seen the Sistine Chapel, an incredible work of art. He painted the whole ceiling of the Sistine Chapel, and he grew discouraged in the process, and he resolved that he was just going to quit. As the cathedral darkened one evening, he was weary, he was sore, he laid on his back on a ladder and scaffolding, would lay on his back and paint for hours, and he was doubtful that this was going to turn out. And he climbed down from the ladder, the scaffolding one day, after lying on his back, and after eating a lonely dinner at home, body was aching. He got out his journal, he began to write, and he wrote in his journal, the last line read, "I am no painter." Internally, he just decided to resign. It was just too much. But the next day, he woke up, sun was shining again. He got up from his bed and he climbed up on that scaffolding one more time, and he labored another day on this magnificent vision that he was painting of the Creator. The day before, he was ready to just quit, give up. What pushed him up the ladder again? What got him on the scaffolding again? It was the hope. It was the hope that the work that he was doing on this beautiful chapel would honor God. That what he was doing would honor God. And there are going to be plenty of moments, there's going to be plenty of days when you want to quit the relationship. I'm no good at this. The marriage will have gotten too tough. There'll be days that the friendship will seem too broken, that the coworkers just too far gone. And in those moments, when you wake up, you pray, you climb the ladder, get on the scaffolding one more day, and allow God to put hope back in your heart. That what you're doing is going to be a beautiful creation, and you trust the Holy Spirit to give you what you need to apologize, what you need to bless, to invite, to give, to forgive, and you do it each day. And eventually, just like Michelangelo in the beautiful painting, The Roof of the Sistine Chapel, you end up with a relationship that honors God and that others admire as a beautiful work of art. I hope this series has helped you over the last few weeks as we're planting seeds, because I want to see your relationships fruitful this year. I want to see your marriages fruitful this year. I want to see your friendships fruitful. I want to see our church and the community that we're building here fruitful this year. Just some simple practical principles. But the key is putting God first place. We say it around here all the time. Life goes better when you put God first. And you know what? I don't want you to leave here today without having an opportunity to put God first. To put God first. Bow your heads, as a matter of fact, all across the room. It sure makes it easier to put him first in your relationships when you put him first in your heart. If you're here today and you've never made a decision to put God first place in your life, never made a decision to put him first place in your heart, the Bible said it's real simple. If you'll just believe in your heart, confess with your mouth, or say with your mouth that Jesus Christ is Lord, and you put him first place in your life, life goes better when you put God first. Because when he's first in your heart, it makes it easier to put him first in your relationships and your finances and your business and all those other areas. So let me just give you an opportunity today, whether you're watching us online today, whether you're sitting right here in the room, you say, Dave, you know what? God's not first place in my life. If I'm real honest today, I've allowed some other things to come before God. Maybe it's a relationship that you put before God. Maybe it's a job. Remember, God has this legitimate jealousy. He wants to be first place in your heart. Maybe you came in feeling far from God today. But when you leave here, you say, I'm leaving here making the decision to put God back first place. Either to put him first place or put him back first place. If you're either one of those two people today, then in your heart, you're making that decision. God, I'm putting you first place in my life. I'm making that decision today. Online, when I count to 3, I want you to pop up a little hand emoji. Go, that's me. Pray for me. In the room, I want you to just pop up your hand and say, Dave, when you pray that prayer, pray for me. 1, 2, 3. You know if that's you. Let me see your hand real quick. God bless you. God bless you. God bless you. Thank you. God bless you. Looking across the room one more time. God bless you. Thank you, ma'am. Well, Father, I thank you for hands that were lifted across the room. Every section online. Lord, people making a decision to live a God-first life. And we know life goes better. When you put God first, he'll take you places that you've never dreamed. Believe in your heart and declare with your mouth. I want everyone that can hear my voice, just say these simple words with me. Say, Jesus Christ is my Lord. He said it's that simple. If you believe in your heart and say that with your mouth, I'm telling you, we want to help you along that journey. We believe one of the best places you can do that is right here in the house of God. And we've got classes on Wednesday night to help us grow, discipleship classes that are taking place, and worship services and youth ministry for your kids. And I mean, all kind of things that we want to see you be everything that God created you to be. Best decision you'll ever make. And you got a whole room full of people here that can tell you best decision they ever made was the decision to put God first place. And we celebrate you on making that incredible decision today. Come on, put your hands together for all those that made that decision. Let them know how grateful we are.
I sure hope you enjoyed today's message. I hope it was an encouragement to you, and I hope it gave you better understanding of what God's Word says about you and your future. If you did, we'd love to hear from you. Jump in that comment section. Let us know how today's message helped you. Also, make sure you subscribe. That way, every time a new video comes out, a new life-changing, life-giving message comes out, you'll be the first to know about it. And share this with someone else. That's a great way that you could be a blessing to someone else. Just hit the share button and put it on your Facebook. Put it on, send it to somebody, and let it help them like it's helped you. I mean, you're still here, so I know it must have helped you. Also, if you want to know everything that's happening in the life of our church, check out wisdomcitychurch.com. It's wisdomcitychurch.com. And until the next time we're together, remember the rest of your life will be the best of your life. Thank you for joining us today here at Wisdom City Church.